Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, it is Gaz back again with some more E3 coverage. I'm not joined by anyone else today because I'm trying to get these videos out because I wasn't able to really do them yesterday. I was pretty knackered yesterday, just kind of staying up to watch the conferences and everything, so I didn't really have the time. At least I couldn't do them straight afterwards because that's just how time sat in you know, how it's sat and everything. So what we're going to go through today is we're going to go through the Ubisoft Conference and everything that happened there. And fuck you, Windows, for announcing something, you piece of shit. Anyway, so there were quite a few things that happened at the Ubisoft Conference. There was a thing about Just Dance at the start. I didn't watch it, nor did I care. But, you know, it was just saying it's like Just Dance 2017, which it's gonna happen anyway, because they sell, apparently. On top of that, let's just kind of jump straight in. I will be I want to apologize now to people who are watching that. I was slightly aggressive towards Ubisoft when I was actually watching the trailers and when I was watching the conference itself, mainly because of the fact that I felt they were lying in a couple things, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that a bit later. Mainly because of the fact that you can't blame them for lying. It's E3. They need to look impressive to potential investors, to their board of directors, to anyone who's actually got a share. That kind of thing. It's also for, like, yes, it's for the press, yes, it's for people to announce shit, but it's mainly used as a tool to get people to look at them and to be like, oh look, money. You know, that's kind of the main thing about it. So, you know, throwing big numbers out there and, you know, big terms is probably going to be more beneficial to them. So from a business standpoint, you can't really avoid it. So you can't really be true to a business like this, you know? But let's just jump straight. Oh my god, I can't talk today. Let's just jump straight in. So the first thing that we had at the conference that wasn't Just Dance was Ghost Recon Wildlands, and in my predictions video I didn't actually say anything about that, but I'm really happy that they actually showed off something. Fuck, I keep hitting the microphone. I'm really happy that they actually showed off something about Ghost Recon, and it looks actually really cool. For people who don't know, it's the most recent Ghost Recon game, and the last one came out... When was the last one? I don't even fucking remember. It was oh no, it was Future Soldier on the 360. I think was the last one that came out. And this is the first next-gen one, and it looks really fucking cool, in all honesty. It's not mission-based, like all the previous ones. It's actually open world, I think, judging from what they were showing off. What the game is about this time, instead of being just in a war-torn environment, you are in Bolivia, in South America, and the whole role of the Ghost Recon team, it's not in the future, it's more modern day, that kind of thing, is to actually work with the DSA, I think, in America, and hunt down and stop the drug production gangs that control most of the country. So, from what I've seen as well, it's going to focus on a 4-player co-op. You can obviously play by yourself, but you can focus on, it's like you got like up to a team of 4, each one can do like a different role. They showed off a cinematic trailer and a gameplay trailer, like showing off some gameplay, which was actually I really appreciated that. It looked really cool. It had the thing they had with the Division before, which is that they had the very staged, like talking, like the people talking to each other on the microphone, which, yes, it's kind of, like, I mean, in an ideal world it'd be like that, but as well, like, you know, that's not going to be like that. Everyone's just going to be swearing at each other and, like, making jokes, that kind of thing. It was more realistic, but it was still very staged, you know? So it was like a step up from what the Division did during their announcement. And it looked really cool. Like, the gameplay was quite solid. You've got third person and first person aiming down sights. You've got different vehicles. You've got different ways to do the mission. You can do it stealth, you can go full attack, you can do this, that, and the other. And because of the fact they've given you the freedom of choice, I think it might be a very good advancement for the series. Because of the fact that everything over this E3 is like, oh, playing with your friends. I mean, look at Microsoft, Sea of Thieves, Gears of War. Those can't be the two examples. Battlefield, you know. There are games out at the moment here, at least the recent trend in most places is that 4-player co-op is something that is needed for some things. And if you have an open world and you're exploring it with your friends, that is a slight advantage, because that you can get one person to convince 3 other people to get the game. That's 4 sales right there. 4 sales and 4 potential new fans. You know, that's, from a business point of view, that is something that can be done. And it looks like they're pulling it off well. Mainly because of the fact that you can take the missions in any way you want. Each person could do a different thing. For example, they were going after a guy who was dissolving bodies in acid or something, like dissolving witnesses, that kind of thing. So what you had was a sniper and 3 guys actually going into the compound, into the camp, to find the guy and extract him, take him down so that he can be arrested and tried. What then happened, and my phone's in my ass. Right, fuck you, phone. Just turn that onto silent now. Right, basically what happened is, again, they had the 3 guys going into the camp to try and take take the guards down and extract the guy. The sniper was obviously having Overwatch support. And then what happened is, it went tits up near the end. They were seen, they went loud, had to try and take the guy down. So the guy that they were trying to chase got in like a car, he got in a Jeep thing, drove off. One guy got on a bike to follow him, the other 2 got in a different car to try and follow him and knock him down to incapacitate him, not kill him. And the guy who was the sniper ran around to where they went in, like their landing point, got on a helicopter that they had stored there ready, got in the helicopter and was trying to fly and try and intercept from a different point. So they were trying to intercept the actual the guys themselves, like the actual, when the conflict was happening between the rest of the team. He was coming in to try and, like, right, let's cut them off, and they were working together as a team. And me, I love things like that. I love working in a team. I love working, like, in a team in games to achieve the goal, so everyone's, like, taking part. I know, I thought that was really cool, so I'd probably end up buying it, depending on what comes out later, because, again, it's an E3 demo. It's not gonna... I'll have to wait at least a little bit to check from what a lot of the other press people have said, and, like, look, this is what it actually plays like when you're working in a team. It's like, right, okay, that's fair enough. It was also given a release date of the 7th of March 2017, so not too far away. A lot of the stuff that's been announced, at least this year, seems to be coming out in the very early half, Q4 of 2016, which actually covers into 2017. I don't think Q1 starts until... I think that's March? Maybe, like... Actually, no, it's April, May, I think is Q1, so fuck you, Adobe, again. So yeah, that's all happening then. And a lot of the games do seem to be coming out in the very, like, maybe the first 3 months. So, around the, like, after the Christmas, after Christmas, first 3 months of 2017 is going to be quite good for gaming, I think. Because there's a lot going on. Right. So, yeah, that looked pretty cool. Make sure it was Ghost Recon Wildlands, which was there. Right, let's see. Next thing was South Park, The Fractured Butthole. Yeah. Had a trailer, had some gameplay show off, kind of. They had Matt Stone and Trey Parker on stage just talking about the game, and one of the guys who actually worked up there. Apparently, this is a very key point. I think I had this written down, but it's also on this report that I'm using as a guide, kind of think of everything that happened. Just to remind myself, is that Kanye West is going to be featured in the game as a gay fish trying to go to heaven. So, standard South Park kind of humor thing. Getting called by fucking... Go away. Fucking getting called by companies for just like, oh look, here's your PPI. Fuck off, mate. Anyway, sorry, but slightly bitter because it's annoying because I'm trying to record and getting phone calls. So, you know, right. The trailer, again, they made fun of, like, the whole thing is just the Avengers spin-off, considering how popular the Marvel series has become in the most recent years. And the whole plot is that Cartman and the others, so Coon and friends, because they're all in their superhero costumes, like the Kite, Stereon, it's like, I can't remember the kid with the blue hair, like the blue hat and the yellow thing on top. Clyde, yeah, Super Clyde, you know, and a couple of other guys, and the whole point was to make their own superhero franchise and make loads of money because the Avengers did it. And they had, like, in the trailer, they had this huge board of phase 1, 2, 3 and all the films they were going to try and do. So it was actually kind of like nice, lighthearted. It was all funny, that kind of thing. But they're still trying to do a serious game out of it, and they're trying to take what was in the Stick of Truth, which some people liked. I personally didn't get along with it, and the main reason I didn't get along with it is that the combat felt very, very samey. Like, it was boring for me. Like, I like turn-based combat, but it was, you're doing literally the same move, and you win. As soon as you get a certain move, you just win. So, for that, it was a bit boring for me. So I think it's, what I like is the fact that they're trying to do something different, because the fact that the fighting and the combat in the game is actually a tile-based one. It's a strategy RPG, similar to Fire Emblem. In which you're moving, doing moves, that kind of thing, doing attacks, fighting enemies, that kind of thing. A very key point, apparently, is that you can fart hard enough to stare a hole through time and reset the turn order and manipulate the time in the fight to your advantage. Which is weird, in my opinion, but again, it's South Park. I mean, what do you expect? It's fucking South Park. As well as that, there were 12 classes instead of 4. There were 12 superhero classes that the character could be, which is good. You get your own superhero backstory, which I won't spoil, so make sure to go watch the trailer, and some of the gameplay stuff. I think they showed off some gameplay inside the trailer, so, you know, it looks good. The more important thing is that it's a South Park related thing. The humor's going to be the same. The combat looks like it's going to be new. It's going to be something based on strategy, so it's going to be different. The superhero thing is going to be blown so much out of proportion. Like, I think one of the moves of the Kite guy was that, well, from Kyle, because he's the Kite Man, I think was his name. His kite has like 1, 2, and 3, like a traditional American kite. And it was like, each part fired like a huge laser or something like that. So it's going to be wacky. It's going to be very over the top. But it's going to be a South Park game. And to be honest, it looks quite good. I'd probably pick it up. It looks quite funny. I do like the South Park humor. And I think maybe this was what... If I had this in the Stick of Truth, I would have played it more. I would have played it more. Because the fact that that's coming into a slightly different genre, and yes, you may have the same move, but because you have to move around the board and everything, and in the room, you know, it's different. It's like a tabletop, like role play, like a tabletop board game. And Matt Stone and Troy Parker are apparently board game fans, so you know they've got the good ideas and they know what's done it well, so they can at least take influence from that. So, right, next one. Right, we had The Division shown off a little bit, and I did expect this. I hoped something new would come out. And this is what irked me a little bit, is that they said, oh, The Division's like got such a dedicated fan base, and that's a big spider. The dedicated fan base for The Division died because it was 93% of the people who were playing it left. 93%. That was the report that came out. So... you know, that kind of irked me. It's like, oh, still very, very popular. Fucking spiders. But yeah, it's still very, very, very popular and that kind of thing. So I'm like, that's not really true, and you know that's not true. But they showed off, it was the survival trailer. It was a very, very cinematic trailer, but it was talking about what's happened now in the canon is that a snowstorm has hit New York, and everything's starting to fail again. The snowstorm has been particularly bad because it's just piled up. Food is going off. It's getting colder. People are starting to get frostbite, that kind of thing. So it's made it a lot harder to survive. And that's the whole thing. And apparently, most of the work that you did originally, a lot of the gangs and stuff are coming back. So, and there's like more people hunting down the Division agents. At least that was the that's what he said. It's like that was like the main kind of thing to get out of it, was that it was focusing on the environment, which is kind of cool. Plus, and this was the survival pack major DLC is coming out after the Underground DLC, and the Underground's the next main one. The thing is, with the Division, the problem was with the Division is that it had issues with, like, it was a good game, it was fun. Like, playing with friends was fun, but it became a very much of a grind right at the end with people in the Dark Zone. The Dark Zone stopped being fun because everyone was getting extremely overpowered very quickly, exploiting, and you couldn't do much about it. That may be kind of salty from most people's standpoint, but, you know, for a normal person, or just someone who's trying to play for fun with their friends, getting dicked on half the time is not fun. Having a battle which is like, right, it's a 1v4, this is probably going to be okay, right? And then it completely turns on you. He just kind of smashes you through with damage, and you just go down. There's nothing you can do about it. And everyone else who tries to revive you just goes down as well. So you lose all the stuff. You lose money. You lose everything. All because this guy has managed to exploit his way through to the top of the Dark Zone. So it's like, most people stop playing after that. I know, because, like, everything that came out, like, the incursions, the actual raids they have were not fun. They were terrible. And it was a big shame. Because it could have done more. It could have done so much more. I would have happily had, like, a WoW-style raid in the Division. That would have been great. But, you know, we're not getting that. So hopefully with the Underground and Survival, it will come back a little bit. I might give it another go because the updates are free, I think. So, you know, we'll see. So, you know, you got hope. You gotta hope for these kind of things. Right, the next thing showed off was the Eagle game, VR. I can't remember what it was called. It's like a capture the flag. It's a multiplayer VR game made for Oculus, which Palmer Luckey, the guy who, the Oculus founder, did appear on stage to play the game with. It was like a 3v3 capture the flag type of thing, and it was like post-apocalypse, like the forest had taken over Paris, and you were playing eagles, but the eagles could shoot things, like not shoot a gun, but they had like an offensive thing, like a burst of air, or like their eagle call, like bursting forth, and it made the other eagles explode. And I'm like, okay, that's weird, but you know, fuck it. It looked kind of fun. Because of the fact that it was very VR and you're playing from the perspective of an eagle, you are diving, you're swooping, you're going up really high, you're going down very low, you're going into tight spaces, that kind of thing. And if you're just seeing it directly, so it's like from like that close, it is right in your eyes, your version of reality has been warped. So you feel like, oh god, I almost hit that thing. No, my character almost hit that thing. But because you're going through the eyes of the character so close, your reality starts to blend into theirs. So I think it's going to play on the adrenaline thing, like going swooping and everything. It's going to get your heart pumping because of the fact that you're seeing that. It's like being on those roller coaster things at like the fair, or like at a county show or something like that. It's not an actual roller coaster. It's one of those things you get in, and you're just like shaking around and everything. And it's like there's a big screen, that kind of thing. Because you can't see anything else, you can't really see around you because it's how dark it is. That, you know, looks cool. Like, that's the kind of thing it will probably be like, but it'll be that close to your face. And it's multiplayer, so you can kind of communicate with whoever you're playing with. The version they showed off, it was, like, again, it was a capture the flag mode, but you were capturing prey and trying to get it back to your nest. There will probably be other modes coming out, and it's very stylized, but again, it's for the Oculus. So, you know, anything for VR is always a good thing. I personally don't get along with the Oculus in comparison to, say, something like the Vive, because of the fact that you have to sit down, and you've got a controller in your hand, and it's not that great in comparison, because if you've got, say, you can see your hands. When the touch controllers come out, I can see the Oculus being a slightly better thing. Yes, you're sitting down, but you've got your hand, like, you can look down and see your hands and motion tracking and that kind of thing. But the Vive, on the other hand, has the room scale, so there's more you can do with it. But that's a different debate for a different day. Going off the Oculus stuff, we had a Star Trek VR game, which something like Star Trek VR would make sense for sitting down, considering if you're on the bridge of a USS vessel, and you're working with, say, you've got the captain there, you've got the helm, you've got tactical, and you're saying you're in engineering, right? Keep seeing where the fucking spider's gone. You can actually look down. It's like, oh look, there's the board. Right, okay. And they had the touch controls, and you actually had to, you know, use your hands. See, that works. That is a much better use for something like the Oculus than having something when you feel like you're moving, but you're not, because you're still sitting and you have a controller. Having something that has, like, motion control for the hand, for the motion controllers that are coming out for the Oculus, doing something where you are supposed to be sitting down and playing Star Trek with your with an entire crew of, like, maybe 3-4 people. You know, that's something that's much more appealing. That's what people wanted out of something out of VR, is to do something like that. There are games at the moment that do that through computer screens and phones. But now being able to do that in a VR setting is pretty tits, I have to be honest. That would be something it may not convince me, but it's just like a nice game to play. And they had LeVar Burton, they actually had Star Trek cast playing it, and they said, right, as a Star Trek, someone who's been on Star Trek and who's acted in it, and it's just like you fall back into that character again, and it's just like it was on the show. So, for Star Trek fans, that is probably something that would be like a really good feature and a good seller. For me, I didn't really watch Star Trek. I wasn't really into the Star Trek thing, because I was young when it was very popular. Ooh, lots of burps. But you know, it looks good. I mean, I'll probably give it a try if I had a VR headset. I'm assuming it's not only Oculus. I would assume the Vive would be involved too. Hopefully, but that remains to be said. The thing is, with Oculus and exclusivity, it will probably be be a timed exclusive, and then the Vive will get it. So, you know, we'll see about that. It always comes down to the developers, and if it's made by Oculus directly, then it will only be on Oculus. They won't release it anywhere else. Right. Next thing, For Honor, which I was really hoping that we got something for. For Honor has got gameplay, like more gameplay. It looks exactly the same as last year, which is good. It hasn't gone through radical changes, but it's been showing off like a different spin on it, like how the world was created. Like the story trailer that they showed off was about how the world became what it was. Like basically, loads of things. Like the world got fractured and like earthquakes, and like the world kind of reformed 2012 style. But the only people who really survived were the warriors, the knights, the Vikings, and the samurai. And they had to fight each other for the resources that were around, and they've been doing it for 1,000 years. That's what they said. So over that time, not much technology has been developed because it's always been in melee-based war. I mean, there's like new bits of technology, like in the gameplay trailer, the gameplay walkthrough they showed off, they had grappling hooks and like launchers for things and cannon-type things as well. But you know, they had samurai with shields, which is odd because that's not really a Japanese thing. But you know, things like that could potentially happen in a desperate time over a period of war. And they said that this had been going on for 1,000 years. So around the time that this would all be happening, it should be about the 2000s, and it's just still knights, samurai, Vikings. There's also now been a fourth faction, which are taking advantage of the fighting. They're trying to, like... They're trying to keep the fighting going, as it seems. That's what I've noticed. They're like a specific set of maybe knights, at least they look like knights, who are trying to keep... who are trying to keep it, like, keep the war going because they want that to happen. That's... Maybe they have some sort of black market kind of role in the fighting. So they're like a supplier of weapons, supplier of armor, that kind of thing. Or, you know, that, we don't know. We honestly don't know because the fact that there was some reference in the trailer, but it's one of those things that won't be released until the story comes out. The gameplay looked really cool. It was samurai versus... It was focusing on a Viking player. It was Vikings versus samurai. What I'm hoping with the campaign is that it's 3 campaigns, technically. One for Vikings, one for samurai, one for knights. Each with a potentially different ending. And then they all kind of merge into one. Or, like, if it was just one that had, like, you start off with Vikings, you play samurai for a little bit, you play knights for a little bit, you play Vikings again, and then it kind of swaps between them every so often. I wouldn't mind that, because then, yes, you always you have to keep switching up your playstyle, because Vikings play very different to samurai and very different to knights. So, you know, that kind of thing would be kind of cool. But I have to keep saying this is like the main thing, is like we have to wait. It's one of those things we have to wait for. But For Honor looked really, really fucking cool. I really want to play that game. I really want to have access, and there's alpha access apparently coming out, or alpha access. So I'll make sure to... I'm going to sign up for it to myself. I'm going to put the link in the description below. So make sure to go check that out. And if you want to get involved with it, sign up. You never know. You might get lucky. And if you do, send me a little key, maybe, so I can give it a go. So yeah, that's going to be released on Valentine's Day 2017, February 14th. So, you know, Chrissy, if you watch this, something to get me for Valentine's Day, yeah? Yeah? I think she's asleep right now, so she doesn't know. She doesn't know that I've said this. Right, after that we had a couple of indie things, or a couple of like smaller titles. Grow Home, which was a game that came out before. I played it on PS Plus, because it came out for free on there, and it was quite fun. It was a nice little puzzle game, which you play a little robot who's trying to get back to his spaceship by using like these plants that grow, strike upwards and try and connect everything and just go higher and higher and get back to your ship. And it was quite fun. It was really cute. The physics were nice. It was just like a nice little game to play. That's now getting a sequel. It's now called Grow Up, and instead of you trying to get back to your spaceship, you're trying to get to the moon, and it's like your first mission not attached to the spaceship, which was called Mum, and you're called Bud. So you don't have Mum this time. You have to go back. You have to try and get to the moon by using the plant on this planet. So, you know, that looks pretty cool. It just looks like more of the same. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It was quite a nice little game to play. And it had like a glider, had a couple of different like character abilities, which looked pretty decent. You know, we'll have to wait and see. The trailer looked pretty cool. I did like the trailer, and you know, I have hope for it. No release date, but you know, with an indie thing, it'll just kind of come out whenever. So, you know. And then some weird shit happened. This was Trials of the Blood Dragon. Yes, that's a mouthful, but it's the Trials series, so Trials Fusion, Trials HD, and so on, and the Far Cry Blood Dragon game, the DLC that came out for Far Cry 3, have now crossed over. This is like the next entry in that little bit of canon. You play the son and daughter of the main character of Far Cry Blood Dragon, and they are taking part in Vietnam War 4 and fighting communism and retarded shit. The guys, when they came on in really weird clothing jumpsuit things to a wrestling intro and then showed off this game. I don't know how wrestling factors into this game. If they came on in like 80s style like power armor type shit, then that would have made more sense. But they came off in like, I thought they were wearing bacon, but it looks like tiger stripe looking at it now. Like, it's like red white and a bit of pink in their suits, and they had like big beards and everything. I'm like, okay, this is odd. And then they said, oh, it's like, oh, here's Trials of the Blood Dragon. And then it was very 80s. It looked very much like a Trials game, but you could shoot guns, and you try to get through levels and shoot communists and, like, monsters and things like that. And they said that it was coming out on the day of the conference. So today is now the Wednesday. This conference was yesterday? No, not yesterday, day before. Monday. So it's now been out for 2 days. You can check it out on Steam. I haven't played it yet. I don't plan to. It doesn't look that fun to me. The Steam reviews aren't great for it. But, you know, if you like Trials, then check it out. I'll put the Steam link there in the description, so you can go grab that and have a look. You know, you never know, you might enjoy it. One man's shitty game is another man's game of the year. So, you know. And then we went on to Watch Dogs 2, which had a very large chunk of time dedicated to it. We had a gameplay walkthrough, which showed off a bit of the character, a bit of the kind of thing that they're going for. You're basically playing Anonymous, the whole point of the game is that you're a hacker, similar to the main character in Watch Dogs 1, but instead of being a vigilante, you kind of have like Anonymous kind of thing, and all they do is hack people, exposing the truth and that kind of thing. They're just kind of teenage dickheads. Like, I'm not saying Anonymous is bad. Anonymous do some good work, and they're standing there for the right reasons, but in this one, they make them look like dicks. Like, complete tossers. Like, the main character, he's not that appealing. He's not that appealing. He's a bit of a tosser to me, in all honesty. Like, the game looks fun. It looks kind of good, actually. I didn't really get along with Watch Dogs 1. They didn't do all the pre-rendered shit. It looks like as if it was going to come, and I think it's coming out this year? Yeah, the character looks a bit more interesting. He looks quite younger. Some of the characters around him are very influential. They've got other types of hackers, like anarchy-based hackers, that kind of thing. And like the mission that they showed off in the gameplay was that you're there to... There was like a political campaigner who's like basically he's just lying to everyone and like trying to get into power in a really shitty way and abuse that power. So their whole thing is that they're exposing. They send the guy in there to go expose all of the data and like expose all the things he's actually doing, that kind of thing. So he goes to the compound. He has a stun gun. He has an assault rifle, but he also has a stun gun. So you can go non-lethal, which is kind of cool. It's like stealth aspect, obviously, similar to how it was in Watch Dogs 1, but I think they've expanded on it a bit more. You can hack more things. You can just hack cars to just drive off in a random way. Unlike Watch Dogs 1, you can hack to unlock cars. In this one, you can kind of control the cars in a way, because they just fly off in a random direction. So you can use it as a distraction. You can hack drones, cameras, computers, people's phones, that kind of thing. And admittedly, it looks alright. It looks alright. It also kind of pinged on the line a little bit because the head of Ubisoft came out and said, "We know how much you loved when we were talking about Watch Dogs 1, and we hope you love this one." I'm like, well, the reason people loved Watch Dogs 1 originally was because it looked fucking like awesome. It looked like graphically it was fantastic, and then it wasn't. So hopefully it doesn't do that again. And judging by the graphics in this, it probably won't. You know? Like, okay, you had like drones, you had like different powers. Your guy was more of an anarchist than a vigilante in this case. He was trying to take down all the bad men in the world. But I think because the character's quite young, he doesn't really want to kill anyone. But because it's, well, at least in the gameplay walkthrough, that's what they were talking about. Whether that's factors into when you guys would be playing it, you'd probably go in guns blazing, or maybe go in stealthy. I'd probably go for the stealth approach and try and be non-lethal, mainly because, you know, I feel that it would fit the character more, depending on what the character is. I usually play for the character. just to get into that role and be like, right, okay, this character seems like maybe they wouldn't kill someone if they had the choice. Maybe they try and go for the non-lethal aspect, so let's do that instead. So, you know, again, it looks pretty cool. I don't know if there was a release date. It's probably early next year. I will have to double check. I'm probably wrong, so I'm just gonna... I'm pretty sure it... No, November 15th this year, so it did come out with a release date. And if you pre-order, you get another... Oh, for fuck's sake, you get another mission. Jesus. I hate when they do that. So, oh, look, you can cut content. Woo! I think there was like an extra special edition when you get like a little robot that you can hack. Like, that was hacked in the game, but you've now got one, and you can take a little RC drone. So yeah, that was kind of weird. There was a surprise reveal at the end, leading on to the next one, and the last one was. It was a game. It was a extreme sports snowboarding type game called Steep, and it was similar to it was like an open world, but it was a sports game similar to Skate. Actually, it was very similar to Skate. For example, you could go on top of a mountain, jump off that mountain, use a parachute or a wingsuit, fly down that mountain, swap onto a snowboard or some skis, go over trails, go down different runs on the mountains. There's like French mountains, Austrian mountains, German, I think, in there somewhere, Italian Alps. You know, it's like you can go to pretty much all the major hotspots in Europe for skiing and for snowboarding. And it's open world and it's multiplayer, so you kind of dick around with your friends. You take part in races, you go exploring, you just try and do sick jumps and like do trailblazing, make a new trail, and then just kind of not die. But one thing that really kinked on that, like when they were playing it, was that there was a bit, that was like, one of the bits was that there was a wingsuit race, and there was just a ring, and you flew through the ring, and the race started, and then ghosts, like other characters, just appeared. There's some people saying they're ghosts, but they're probably other characters or other players, right? So you go through the ring, you start wingsuiting down this like little mountain range, right? And one guy hit one of the rocks, and you heard a massive crunch, and he screamed, and you just kept going, and he just disappeared. Like, one of the things is, the main thing that everyone always kept saying is just like, people wiping out, and you hear it. That's fucking grim. That was... Oh, it was odd. It was like the Hall of Meat in Skate. And if it has the Hall of Meat when it comes... I mean, Steep and Skate, very similar titles. One was about skating, one, this is about extreme sports on mountains. So, maybe it's not made by the same guys who made Skate, but being... I thought, actually, Skate was EA, wasn't it? Oh yeah, it was. Shit. So maybe it being similar, I would... Maybe... that was the vibe I was kind of getting off of it. The fact that you were wiping out and it was fucking painful to hear. You know, to me, just... I don't know how I feel about that. But, you know, it's probably some people's shtick. To me, it looked alright. I might give it a go. It looked kind of fun. It maybe not be something I would play consistently. But there are some people who would be very interested in that thing, so playing consistently would make sense. But that was about it. It looks cool. It did look cool, and I like some of the open world systems because it was based on the mountains. So you got like Mount Blanc in the French Alps, and you've got loads of other mountains linking onto it, and you just kind of link between them. You can kind of just travel to any mountain at a time, just appear on top of it. So, you know, being able to explore a world like that very easily, just go down all the runs, then, you know, that would work. That would make sense. And it looks like something... it looks like something that would probably be quite popular. And let's see, big GoPro advertising in this game, which doesn't give me some hope, but there was shit tons of GoPro advertising. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see. And that's coming out in December, and it will have VR, which will be fucking terrifying. Sitting there with an Oculus going down a mountain and then you hit something. Oh god, I don't know how I feel about that. Well, I think I'd be sick. Right. And then that was the Ubisoft conference. There was a couple surprises. There were a couple things that looked really, really cool. But it wasn't really much of a buffer. It was release dates, and release dates. Which comparatively to EA and, well, to Microsoft, who didn't really have many release dates, it's kind of nice because now we know actually things are coming out and when they're coming out. And there are some things that look really cool. There's some things that are coming out very soon. One thing that came out the day of the conference, one thing that's coming out like within the next couple months. So, you know, you can have some hope with that. It looks, I have a feeling that they weren't trying to beat a dead horse. They were trying to come up with something new. But when they were coming out with some of the old stuff, it wasn't great. The better stuff is, like, all the new stuff was looking really cool, but all the stuff that was already out was, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, well, mainly The Division was meh. They talked about the Assassin's Creed movie as well, but we don't talk about that, because that's probably going to be terrible. And I don't want it to be terrible, but it probably will be. Right, so that has been the Ubisoft Conference. It's just me rambling about it. Sorry if I go off track or anything. But, you know, I'd love to hear your opinions. I'd love to hear anything from you guys, so make sure to go into the comment section, leave a comment, and we can start the discussion. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. The next video should be the Sony conference, which I'll do in a bit. Check out Bang for Microsoft's and Bang for EA's. There'll be about one will be here and one will be there. It's hard to do this because you got to try and figure it's because there's mirrors. You're like cameras. So yeah, check all that stuff out. Check out the other videos. Check out the rest of the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.